August 4th, 1962. Brentwood, Los Angeles. 8 a.m. Marilyn Monroe woke up in her bedroom. She was alone. The house was quiet. Too quiet. She'd been having trouble sleeping for weeks. Pills helped, but they also made everything foggy. Hard to think. Hard to feel. She looked at the phone on her nightstand. She wanted to call someone. Anyone. But who? Everyone had abandoned her. Her husbands, her lovers, her friends. One by one, they'd all left. She picked up the phone, started dialing, then stopped. Put it down. Nobody wants to hear from me, she whispered to herself. But she was wrong. Because in the next 16 hours, Marilyn would make multiple phone calls to different people, saying different things. And by the next morning, she'd be dead. This is the story of Marilyn Monroe's last phone calls, the conversations that happened in her final hours, what she said, who she talked to, and what they did or didn't do to save her. August 4th, 1962. 10 a.m. Dr. Ralph Greenson arrived at Marilyn's house. He was her psychiatrist. He'd been treating her for depression, anxiety, drug dependency. He came to the house almost every day, sometimes twice a day. Marilyn was struggling. Everyone knew it. "How are you feeling today?" Dr. Greenson asked. "Tired," Marilyn said. "I'm always tired." "Are you taking your medication?" "Yes, but it doesn't help. Nothing helps." Dr. Greenson was worried. Marilyn had been talking about death lately, about wanting to disappear. He wasn't sure if she was serious or just dramatic. "Marilyn, if you're having dark thoughts, you need to tell me." "I always have dark thoughts," she said. "That's not new." They talked for an hour. Dr. Greenson tried to get her to open up, but Marilyn was distant, guarded. Before he left, he asked, "Do you have plans today?" "No, I'm just going to stay home. Rest." "Good. Call me if you need anything. Anytime." Marilyn nodded. But she had no intention of calling him, because Dr. Greenson couldn't help her. Nobody could. August 4th, 1962. 2 p.m. Marilyn's housekeeper, Eunice Murray, was cleaning the kitchen. She heard Marilyn on the phone in her bedroom. Marilyn's voice was muffled, but Eunice could tell she was upset, crying. When Marilyn came out, her eyes were red. "Miss Monroe, are you all right?" Eunice asked. "I'm fine," Marilyn said. But she wasn't fine. She was falling apart. Later, Eunice would tell investigators that Marilyn had been making phone calls all day, but she didn't know who Marilyn was calling or what she was saying. August 4th, 1962, 4:30 p.m. Marilyn called her friend and former sister-in-law, Pat Kennedy Lawford. Pat was married to Peter Lawford, JFK's brother-in-law. The phone rang. Pat answered. "Pat, it's Marilyn." "Oh, Marilyn, how are you?" "Not good. I need to talk to someone." "What's wrong?" "Everything. I feel so alone." Pat tried to comfort her, but she was busy. She had plans that evening. "Marilyn, why don't you come to the beach house tonight? Peter's having people over. It'll be good for you to get out." "I don't know. I'm not feeling well." "Just think about it. Call Peter if you change your mind." They hung up. Marilyn sat on her bed, staring at the phone. She didn't want to go to a party. She wanted someone to come to her, to sit with her, to tell her everything would be okay. But nobody came. August 4th, 1962. 7 p.m., Peter Lawford called Marilyn. He was following up on Pat's invitation. "Marilyn, it's Peter. Are you coming tonight?" "I don't think so, Peter. I'm not feeling well." "Come on, it'll be fun. We're just having dinner. A few friends. Nothing crazy." "I really can't." Peter could hear something in her voice, something off. Slurred speech, like she'd been drinking or taking pills. "Marilyn, are you okay?" "I'm fine. I just took some pills to help me sleep." "How many pills?" "I don't know. A few." Peter's concern grew. "Marilyn, maybe you should call Dr. Greenson or go to the hospital." "I don't need the hospital. I just need to sleep." There was a long pause. Then Marilyn said something that would haunt Peter for the rest of his life. "Say goodbye to Pat. Say goodbye to the president. Say goodbye to yourself, because you're a nice guy." Peter froze. "What?" "Marilyn, what are you talking about?" But the line went dead. She'd hung up. Peter immediately tried calling back. No answer. He called again and again. Nothing. He panicked. He called his manager, his lawyer. Marilyn just said goodbye to me. I think she's in trouble. What do you want us to do? Call someone, the police, an ambulance, something. But they hesitated. Peter, if we call the police, it'll be a scandal. Marilyn's been connected to the president. If this gets out, I don't care about the scandal. She might be dying. But the lawyer was firm. Let's wait. See if she calls back. If she doesn't, we'll send someone to check on her. Peter agreed, reluctantly, and that decision would haunt him forever. August 4th, 1962. 8 p.m. Marilyn was alone in her bedroom. The pills were kicking in. Everything felt heavy. Slow. She picked up the phone again. She wanted to call Joe DiMaggio, her ex-husband, the only man who'd ever truly loved her. They'd been divorced for 8 years, but Joe had never stopped caring. He called her regularly, checked on her, tried to help. But Marilyn didn't call him. She couldn't, because she was ashamed of what she'd become, ashamed of how broken she was. Instead, she called another friend, someone she trusted, someone who knew her secrets. The phone rang. The friend answered. It's me, Marilyn said. Her voice was weak, barely audible. Marilyn, are you okay? I don't think so. I took too many pills. How many? I don't remember. A lot. Marilyn, you need to call an ambulance, right now. No ambulances, no hospitals. I'm tired of hospitals. Then call Dr. Greenson. He can't help me. Nobody can. The friend was terrified. Marilyn, please, don't do this. It's too late. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. And then the line went dead again. The friend immediately called Dr. Greenson. Marilyn just called me. She said she took too many pills. You need to get to her house, now. Dr. Greenson rushed to his car, but it would take him at least 20 minutes to get there. 20 minutes that Marilyn didn't have. August 4th, 1962, 10 p.m. Eunice Murray, the housekeeper, was still at the house. She noticed the light under Marilyn's bedroom door. It was on, but there was no sound. She knocked. Miss Monroe, are you all right? No answer. She knocked again, louder. Miss Monroe? Still nothing. Eunice tried the door, locked. She went outside, looked through the bedroom window. She could see Marilyn, lying on the bed, motionless, the phone in her hand. Eunice panicked. She called Dr. Greenson. Doctor, something's wrong. Miss Monroe is in her room. She's not moving. The door is locked. Break the window. Get inside. I'm on my way. Eunice broke the window, climbed inside. She ran to Marilyn. Miss Monroe! Miss Monroe! Wake up! But Marilyn didn't wake up. She wasn't breathing. Her skin was cold. Eunice called Dr. Greenson again. She's not breathing. I think she's gone. Call an ambulance, now. But it was too late. Marilyn Monroe was already dead. August 5th, 1962, 3:30 a.m. The police arrived, an ambulance, reporters. Within hours, the news spread. Marilyn Monroe was dead, at 36 years old. The official cause of death, acute barbiturate poisoning, probable suicide. But the details didn't add up. The phone records, the timeline. The people she called, what they did or didn't do. Peter Lawford was questioned. When did you last speak to Marilyn? Around 7. She sounded strange, like she'd taken pills. Did you call for help? Peter hesitated. I called my lawyer. He advised me to wait. Wait? Why? Because it was complicated. The Kennedys, the scandal. I didn't know what to do. The police were suspicious. So, you let her die? No, I didn't think she was serious. I thought she was just being dramatic. But she wasn't being dramatic. She was dying. And nobody came to save her. In the days after Marilyn's death, the phone records disappeared, mysteriously. The log of who called Marilyn, who she called, all gone. Some say the records were destroyed to protect the Kennedys, to hide the connection between Marilyn and the president and his brother Bobby. Others say the records were destroyed to cover up a murder. Because maybe Marilyn didn't kill herself. Maybe someone helped her along. The truth? We'll never know. Because the evidence is gone. And everyone who knew the truth is dead. Joe DiMaggio was devastated when he heard the news. He'd been planning to call Marilyn that weekend, to check on her, to make sure she was okay. But he'd waited, and now she was gone. At Marilyn's funeral, Joe took control. He banned the Kennedys, Peter Lawford, anyone from Hollywood who'd used her, hurt her, abandoned her. These people killed her, Joe said. They're not welcome here. For the next 20 years, Joe sent roses to Marilyn's grave, 3 times a week, every week, until he died in 1999. "I'll always love you," he'd say. "I'm sorry I wasn't there." The mystery of Marilyn's last phone calls haunts people to this day, because those calls hold the key to what really happened, to who was involved, to whether she chose to die or was helped. Peter Lawford never forgave himself. He drank heavily, became depressed. In interviews later in life, he'd say, "I should have gone to her house. I should have saved her." But he didn't. And Marilyn died alone. Dr. Greenson blamed himself too. "I should have hospitalized her. I should have known she was serious." But he didn't. And Marilyn died alone. Eunice Murray, the housekeeper, changed her story multiple times. First, she said she found Marilyn at midnight. Then, she said it was 3 a.m. The timeline kept shifting. What really happened that night? Investigators asked. "I don't remember," Eunice said. "It's all a blur." But some people think she remembered perfectly and was told to lie. In the years since Marilyn's death, conspiracy theories have flourished. Some believe the Kennedys had her killed, to silence her, to prevent her from exposing their affair. Others believe the mafia did it, because Marilyn knew too much about their connections to the Kennedys, and others believe it was exactly what it looked like. A sad, lonely woman who took too many pills, by accident or on purpose. The truth is probably somewhere in between. Marilyn did take the pills, but the people around her let her die because saving her was inconvenient, complicated, scandalous. And so they waited, and she died. Today, when people talk about Marilyn Monroe's death, they focus on the mystery, the conspiracy, the scandal. But they forget the simple truth. Marilyn made multiple phone calls that night to different people, asking for help, and nobody came. Not the Lawfords, not Dr. Greenson, not the housekeeper. Nobody. They all had excuses, reasons, explanations, but the result was the same. Marilyn died alone, with the phone in her hand, waiting for someone to save her. And nobody did. That's the real tragedy. Not the conspiracy, not the mystery, but the fact that Marilyn Monroe spent her last hours reaching out, calling for help, and being ignored. Because in the end, she was just a commodity, a problem, an inconvenience. And when she became too much trouble, they let her go. Marilyn Monroe made her last phone call on August 4th, 1962. "Say goodbye," she said, and she did, forever.